It's good to see you here for our final week of Sweeter Than Chocolate, Hebrews 11. I hope that instead of seeing this as the end of something, you'll view it as the beginning. It's my prayer that God will use His Word that we've studied together to propel you forward in a life of wholehearted obedience. I think that's exactly what the author of Hebrews is getting at in the first verses of Hebrews 12, which are some of my favorite verses in the entire Bible. It begins with this therefore that refers back to everything we've been studying in Hebrews 11. And I'm going to read the first few verses here for you. Again, starting in Hebrews chapter 12. Therefore, since we have so great a cloud of witnesses surrounding us, let us also lay aside every encumbrance and the sin which so easily entangles us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of faith, who for the joy set before Him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. For consider Him who has endured such hostility by sinners against Himself, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. I wish I had an hour to talk to you today and unpack these 3 verses from Hebrews 12, because each verse is so loaded with truth and so rich in application. If we're going to run like the examples the author gave us in Hebrews 11, we need to run light. And that means getting rid of not only the bad stuff, but good stuff that keeps us from the best. And that's hard. I mean, it's one thing to say, I'm going to cut out some of that questionable television that I've been watching. And it's another altogether to have to decline to participate in good and worthy causes because God has called you to focus more fully on something else. I talk about this a lot because God has been working on me so much in this area in recent years. I've found that in order to run the race that God has set before me and called me to run, I have to say no to a lot of other opportunities that people put before me. Do you realize that every time you say yes to one thing, you're giving a no to something else? Now, it may be a passive no that you never even have to verbalize, but it is a no nonetheless because each of us has only so many hours in a day. And every yes taps into those limited resources. You know, I wonder how we'd spend our time if every morning we got up with $24 to represent the value of where our time was going. Because, you know, time is a more valuable resource than money. You can earn more money, but you have only as much time as God has given you. Each one of us, 24 hours in a day. So let's think about spending those 24 hours. We're going to have to invest part of them in maintenance. All right. So we're going to put down 8 for sleeping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, some people get by on less. Some people need more. But 8 is a reasonable time for sleep. A lot of people work. And if you don't work outside of the home, maybe you're home with your kids, you're still putting in a hard work day with those children. So we're going to put down 8 hours for work, inside or outside of the home. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, that is 16 of our 24 hours already gone right off the top. Let's put in an hour for eating. You're probably going to spend a little more time than that. We're going to put in an hour for just household maintenance, self-maintenance, get up, take a shower. We're only going to put in an hour for that right now. So this right now adds up to 18 hours right off the top, which gives us 6 left over to spend. In real life, some of us have more real-time options. Some of us have far less. So let's say that Jane asks you to be on the committee at church that will only take 5 hours in a week. Well, there goes another $1, another hour. Then there's going to exercise. If you're at home, maybe an hour. If you go to the club, that's 2. Do you have any TV shows you watch? Maybe that's 1 or two, and maybe you're a kid chauffeur, then there's probably, if you have kids, there's homework, there's playtime with the kids. Do you like to read? Are you married? Wow, it goes fast. What about God? And we haven't even put in grocery shopping, doctor's appointments, orthodontist, you name it. Hours are like dollars, but they're more valuable. When you've spent them, they're gone. And you can't spend what you don't have. Many people today, they spend time like they spend money, with an abandon that ignores true resources. Somehow we think that if we say yes, the time will just sort of somehow magically be there. But the truth is that a yes will always cause a no somewhere else. And we will never be able to run in a Hebrews 12 kind of way until we get this. We will weary ourselves as we try to do the impossible and deficit spend our time. Do you ever find yourself just plain weary? Where I want to land today is on how not to tire our souls. And I'm referring to the last phrase in Hebrews 12:3. The New American Standard talks about not growing weary and losing heart. Now, I'm memorizing the New American Standard, so when I find different Greek words than I'd expect, it always makes me perk up and take notice. And quite frankly, that phrase looks nothing in Greek like I would expect it to look. I'd expect to find the word cardia, Greek for heart, since we have heart in the English translation, and I'd expect a conjunction, I'd expect an and. But we've got neither of those in the Greek. Now, translations are all over the place on this phrase, but it literally reads, in order that you may not tire your souls being wearied or being exhausted. I'm going to ask you again, have you ever found yourself exhausted and with a tired soul as you try to endure and press on? I have. It's not a good place to be. We can't endure on our own. In our own power, we will tire our souls being exhausted. But there's a way to prevent that kind of soul exhaustion. And it's the key to being able to obey the command of hold fast that is repeated throughout the book of Hebrews. The way to keep our souls from tiring is to consider Jesus. And the witnesses, the men and women of Hebrews 11, give us examples of how to run and how to run light. But examples are not enough to carry us through. In order to run our race without tiring our souls, we have to look at Jesus. We can glance at the witnesses. We can be aware of the opposition. But my friend, to run the race with endurance, we need to fix our eyes on Jesus. We need to press into his words, and we need to learn his ways. Now, if you're in a group, spend some time talking about your single biggest takeaway from studying Hebrews 11. How has God's word changed the way you think and act over the course of the past 11 weeks? And before you wrap up, I would sure love it if you'd let the rest of us know that too by posting this on the blog. My friends, we have a great cloud of witnesses, but greater still, we have Jesus. Let's fix our eyes on him and run with endurance the race that is set before us today and in every tomorrow he gives us.